Dear anxiety, it's been a while. Since my last video, I had to deal with new sensations, countless anxious thoughts, and miserable days. But I've learned a lot, and this might sound weird, but I wanted to thank you. Thank you for making me more sensitive, for being more in tune with my body, and for the creative outlet. I know that you are a part of me, and it's all about learning to live with you. I won't try to control you anymore, but I accept you as part of me. See you around. Hey everybody. First of all, I wanted to thank all of you for watching my videos, specifically my health anxiety video from 2 years ago. Over 13,000 views. That's mind-boggling to me. And I'm very grateful for that. But on the other hand, it kind of makes me sad that so many people struggle with anxiety, or specifically health anxiety. But it also shows that we're not alone, even though health anxiety or anxiety in general sometimes makes us feel isolated and alone. And I think it's so important to talk about it, to be open about it, since it can lead to depression or even worse things. As you see, this is very emotional to me because it's a very important subject and important matter. So yeah, thank you. So after I recorded my first video, I was hit with new sensations and new thoughts. Like, I was basically sucked into the whole health anxiety shit again. Without giving too much of a backstory, my health anxiety started with me believing that I had a certain type of cancer and I was dying from it. And after months of going through those sensations and fears and struggling with it, me understanding what anxiety was and doing lots of work, therapy, CBT helped a lot as well. I thought I was done. I thought I had it under control, but because I'm sitting here, you probably already know that I was not fine. Anxiety comes in waves, and anxiety can literally make you feel and believe anything. Being so focused on sensations and bodily changes, I noticed some like tics and muscle twitches all over my body. Nothing too concerning, but increasingly getting more, or at least that's how it feels like. And I started to be concerned. And someone, with anxiety, you basically start thinking of the worst case scenarios. You maybe start Googling, and a lot of things can trigger your thoughts. And the worst case scenarios started already forming in my head and manifesting themselves as thoughts, and they wouldn't let me go for months to come. It's important to mention that I was under a lot of stress during the time. We were basically about to renovate our home. A lot of changes were happening. It was not an easy time, and knowing now the signs that your body gives you in times like these are an indicator already that you should maybe, slow down a little bit. But I didn't pay attention to that. So in summer of 2022, my anxiety peaked again. And this time I was convinced that I had like MS or early onset Parkinsons or something like that, like some sort of horrible disease affecting my nervous system. And I was triggered by literally everything again. So I was triggered by books, by movies, by news reports. And I was basically back where I have been before. Even though I went through all of this already, like I literally experienced the same thing, just like obviously a little different in terms of sensations and thoughts. I couldn't bring myself to rationally convince myself that I'm fine, that nothing's wrong, that everything's okay, and I was so focused on the sensations and so caught up in all the thoughts and with everything else going on around myself, like in terms of work and constantly doing stuff because we had a lot of things to do. I could not bring myself to see what basically my wife Danielle was seeing, that I was fine, that I was just stressed out and completely caught up again in that anxious cycle. And of course my symptoms got worse because I didn't really do the things that I was supposed to do, or that I already, the tools that I already mastered in terms of anxious thoughts, and the symptoms got worse because I was focusing so much on them. But obviously the symptoms got only worse to an extent. So there's this peak level, and once this peak level was hit, nothing else happened, because it was just anxiety. It was just me focusing so much on those thoughts and sensations. And like I literally had like this muscle twitch for 3 days, like on this one spot, and it wouldn't go away, and was like, I couldn't fall asleep because it was like either waking me up or keeping me up. And there were obviously days or times at least where I was completely fine because I was so like distracted by other things where I didn't even pay attention to anything, where I was fine, I was completely fine. And then it hit me again, and I was like back, and I was caught in this cycle, and focusing on the sensations made it worse. So multiple doctor's visits and tests that obviously came back negative. I already knew in the back of my head that it was fine. And now the work started again. I had to convince myself, the way I convinced myself that I was sick, that I was fine, and that it was just anxiety. And I had to incorporate all the tools that I already gained from the last years to work on it, to start the process of getting better. And slowly but steady, symptoms got better or basically disappeared. The hyper focusing on everything started to go away. Please go see your doctor first, or a professional, if you feel pain or weird sensations in your body. Rule out any serious problems first, and then try to understand how health anxiety affects you. There are a lot of ways to do that, and I've already mentioned it in the comments of my last video a lot, like the books of Joshua Fletcher. He himself had health anxiety pretty bad, and he wrote 2 books. And I think his insights are very valuable in terms of understanding how anxiety affects your body. And obviously therapy and CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, is something to try at least, because it might help you a lot. After years of dealing with anxiety and all the sensations, I finally understand that anxiety can and probably will come back at some point. Anxiety is not something that you can just get rid of. I think anxiety is something that everybody deals to a certain extent. I think that's something that is normal. But if it becomes obviously problematic in terms that it affects your life, your daily life, then it's not normal again, obviously. So the first thing that I had to do was to accept that anxiety is a part of me. Anxiety is something that I can't get rid of. which already helped me in accepting it more and not just fighting it, because fighting it kind of made it worse. Sometimes we are so focused on things we can't change, and usually your body already gives you signs. You know, you're either tired, you have aches, you have pains, you don't feel great overall, and sometimes that's already a sign for, hey, maybe slow down a little bit, maybe take a break. The most crucial thing for me was to know my limitations and understand them. I obviously want to push my limits a little bit once in a while, but I also need to know when it's enough. And that's important, to just listen to your body, because it tells you. With everything that's going on in the world, with all the shit we have to deal on a daily basis, work, stressful job, maybe make ends meet, try to survive. We tend to forget sometimes to make times for ourselves. The word self-care comes to mind, and I think it's the most important thing, because if I'm not well, my relationship can't do well. I can't do good in my job. So I can't be the best version of myself. So looking after ourselves ultimately gives us the power, the energy to be the best version in every other aspects of our lives. Putting the first anxiety video out there was very liberating for me, because it felt like I had taken off a big load off my shoulders. Talking about it is, to me, the best thing, and I can only encourage you to be open. I know it's not easy, and I have still a very hard time talking about my anxiety in front of people. Like, even to my wife, it's not the easiest to admit that I feel anxious, that I have trouble with anxiety again. But I feel so grateful to be in that position to put a video out there and to get the response that I got for it, because I did not do that for that. You know, I didn't put it out there to get a lot of subscribers or comments, but like reading through all the comments and seeing how people struggle, and then reading that the video might have helped them a little bit, is like the best thing. And I can't even express how happy it makes me feel that some people might feel better because of that little video I put out there. Like, I can't even express how thankful I am for that. And also in return, it makes me feel less alone. It makes me feel like, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one going through this. We're all in this together. Like, we're not alone. Yes, we might feel isolated. We might feel alone with those feelings, but we're not. And I feel like we need to focus on that more and, you know, acknowledge that we're not alone. Be open, talk about it. And lastly, I just want to thank you again. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching the video, for liking it, and for commenting. It makes me feel so happy. And I just want to leave you with something my father-in-law always says, and that is, you're loved and you matter.